I noticed the story that kind of popped up the other day regarding Ethan Klein and how he was going after Hasan Piker. I don't care for Hasan. I don't like the whole like video game, Twitch world type stuff. But Hasan has obviously been very outspoken in favor of Palestine and, just kind of doing as much as he can from the left's perspective to usher them in. And Ethan Klein is somebody who I just heard went on like a psychopathic rant the other day against Palestine. And for somebody who I didn't know was a Zionist, I mean, I knew he was Jewish, but, the fact of the matter is I didn't know exactly where it was coming from. Well, Jen, this shouldn't surprise you at all. This is Ethan's wife.
Talk a lot, and Bibi's become a lot like Trump.
Yeah, Bibi's his guy. They're like homies. Bibi's celebrating last night.
Just the other day, Bibi fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about, and he fired him because they had a disagreement, and that's so Trump coded.
Well, he was like a moderating voice in the war room.
Yeah.
And he got rid of him, or at least a more moderate voice. I don't know anything about the guy.
So she's Israeli is what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. Would you care to guess who the two of them are talking about? That is a really great guy that apparently was let go back in November.
Wasn't it Gallant?
Huh?
Yeah.
Gallant. Oh, great guy. Great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Total. I mean, you want to talk about a genocidal psychopath?
Well, this is the problem is that I think for the most part that Israeli society is so infected that I honestly, I don't see how it can be salvaged because these people are psychopathic people. And it's basically, and you're talking about 2/3 of the people in Israel that are on board with what's going on in Gaza. And then you would also have to add, I mean, the only people that aren't, it's like, that's the minority. So you're talking about an entire society of genocidal psychopaths. And I am telling you, when I see countries, they start denying visas to these people, that pleases me. These people need to be arrested when they go places. Have you heard of the Hind Rajab Foundation?
Yep.
Okay, so I would love to. It's so hard to talk to people that are in Europe. The time thing, it's so hard for us. It's like the middle of the night for them. But these people need to be being arrested. And I don't think they can be salvaged. I really think Israel needs to be lanced like a boil off of the planet. Well, I don't know how this resolves. I really don't.
And I did a little deep dive as well. So his wife Hilla, she was an IDF soldier.
Well, so everyone there is basically, unless you're real Orthodox, you're IDF soldier. So that's all of them, Peter.
Well,
they all serve. They have to.
I think she did some blood work.
They all serve. That's just part of it. You can't. Everybody in Israel serves, and then a lot of people have been conscientious. Look, there are refuseniks, and there are a lot of people that have been leaving, and the very, very Orthodox are not required to serve, and that's one of the big fights they're having internally right now. Is they need bodies, and they're wanting to change their rule and have the real Orthodox have to serve, and they're just not having it.
A small interlude. Shania, can you please tell our friend who's in North Babylon which pizzeria you're referring to?
Yes. Absolutely. I'll get that up for you right now. Actually, have in my notes.
Yeah, we should definitely promote that.
But Jen, it's kind of, there's a level of protection, especially with these Israeli women, that they're able to get away with. They're able to say things like, I think Gallant is a great guy.
I know.
I mean, you talk about a person. I mean, listen, credit to Medea Benjamin. She really gave it to him when he showed his sorry ass in D.C. not too long ago. But it's incredible that they are so flippant about their genocidal tendencies.
Do you know that this is what I deal with at my Pilates studio, which is why I now, every time I go to Pilates, I have watermelon tank tops on because the women, I call it Club Tel Aviv at my Pilates studio, they all started hating on me when I had suggested, very kindly, mind you, they were talking about October 7th back then, and I simply suggested that maybe human beings don't like being born in captivity. I just put that out there, just like that. Lo and behold, now they hate me. So they start talking shit about me, and I'm like, all right. So now I wear watermelons every single time that I show up there, and they can't say it's political because it's just watermelons. And so I'm engaged in psychological warfare with these bitches at my Pilates studio. Just thought people should know that.
What is the name of that wonderful pizzeria?
So it's Bellissimo's in Port Washington, Long Island.
Bellissimo's in Port Washington, right next to the biggest Zionist town in all of North Shore, Long Island. That would be great, Nick.
So, yeah, so if folks who are tuning in, if you're tuning in from New York, please go support the business, but also leave great reviews on their Google reviews. It'll really help them.
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
Oh, that makes me want pizza.
And I have no doubt that, and I have no doubt that a lot of those protesters that are showing up are from Great Neck, so that wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Wouldn't be shocked.
And so
Where are you? Where do you live? What part? Where are you? Are you in the city?
I'm in Queens.
Oh yeah, well, Queens. Boy, that Alex really stepped up for the Palestinian cause, didn't she? Really put herself out there. What I still find amazing is that she has such an amazing platform. She's so I hate using this as a reference point, but she really is the Taylor Swift of politics. People like her and they don't even know what she stands for.
And I think less and less. And I think the more she becomes more and more like AOC Pelosi, that the kind of people that were fangirling are just not doing it for her anymore. I don't think so.
And I'm just convinced that the only reason that she hasn't truly stood up to this issue the way that she clearly would be capable of, especially in New York, she could really rally tens of thousands of people if she really wanted to. But I think that she's simply egotistical and ambitious. And for her, that's more important than what I think could still potentially be a congressional seat for a generation if she really wants it. They could throw all the money they want, but in a district like hers between Queens and the Bronx, she's not going to get unseated if the people are truly behind her. They could throw $10 million at some neoliberal scumsucker to try to take her out. It wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. So for me, I think it's really just a matter of she has a lot of plans. She is going to try again to get herself a position, even though they gave it to somebody who's half dead already.
Can we first also address the fact, Shaniyat, that she didn't even, do you remember when we had the summit, the brand new Congress summit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she couldn't even grace us with her presence. Do you recall?
Yeah. Remember that.
She was like the only person that didn't show up.
No, Jamal was there. Corey was there. But it goes to show you where the priorities lie and what matters. Even if she only came in for 5 minutes and just said, guys, I'm really busy.
Yeah.
I want to wish you all the best. Here's a couple of things that I learned when I ran that might serve you well in your district. It's just little things like that. And unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. We don't live in that world. We live in a world where, and especially with her, the power got extremely intoxicating very quickly. And she thought it could either be taken away from her because she decided to ruffle some feathers in the early going and then completely changed her tune very quickly.
You mean like her first day? Because that was about it.
That was about it.
So is she your rep? So is she she's your rep?
She is my rep. She is now my rep.
So what are you working on now? I mean, I didn't realize that you were a journalist. I didn't know that.
Yeah, actually, it was during the pandemic. Actually, after the 2020 election, they started to writing more. And it was the first time that I actually written about Palestine. I mean, I grew up learning about Palestine. My family's been pretty active. But for the first time, I wrote about Palestine because Israel was not letting COVID-19 vaccines go in and out of Gaza. So that was the first time I wrote about it. And then we saw what happened in 2021 with the military just attacking Al-Aqsa. So I knew that there was a shift happening. So it's not a matter of if things are going to escalate. It's a matter of when this resistance was going to finally punch back. And so I've been focusing on the last year, just finishing up my grad school work on U.S. foreign policy. So I wrote a thesis on the relationship between the Israeli military and settlers and the occupation in the West Bank. And that kind of also led into my published piece now that's now in Mondawai. So it was published about 10 days ago. And this report was all focused on how there's a 501c3 here in the US, tax exempt status, they are sending money to Israeli settlers in the West Bank, using that money to expand their settlements to ethnically cleanse Palestinian people. So I focused on that for the last 6 months, and I felt like that we are in a time where we need more investigative journalism. And I was fortunate enough to really connect with a lot of Palestinian activists, Jewish activists who know so much about how their own political institutions, their own cultural institutions are so intertwined to like they own the United States government. And so to even see it from their end, reading through documents, talking to settlers and seeing their mentality, it's like I was mind blown. So yeah, I mean, I started writing, and I'm just gonna keep on writing. So I feel like that's been my calling. Literally.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's very humbling when you're with people that are in such a fight for their lives, and they do it with such grace, and they do it with honor. And it's like, it's heartbreaking to me, but it's very inspired.
Yeah, I mean, you ask a Palestinian, like, why don't you just go to another city or village where you'd be safe? And what they'll tell anyone is that they would rather die on this land than be pushed out, because it was the land that their father, that their grandfather and parents were on. And it's like the only life that they know. So having to pick things up, to move, and to be forgotten about, that is not in their vocabulary.